Hi guys, welcome back to Tara Makes It Up. Today I'm here with my lovely friend Mona. She's going to be modelling for me. We're going to do a look. She's got beautiful olive skin tone, and also she's got a beautiful almond eye shape. So I thought this would be a good tutorial to show you how to do eyeliner in particular for almond eye shape. And also the look's going to be quite dewy with a soft pink lip. So the first product I'm going to use on Mona is the Burberry Fresh Glow Foundation, because the look is all about a nice dewy healthy skin. And I'm going to use an IT Cosmetics buffing brush, which is really nice, and I'm using the shade Beige 26. And I'm going to start in the centre of the face and just work it outwards. And I'd say the coverage is quite buildable on this, so you can kind of tailor it to as much as you need or sheer it out more where you want it. And I'm just using a kind of buffing motion, but like I said, starting in the centre and just blending out to nothing. And just close your eyes to me, I'm going to take a tiny bit over the lid, but not too much so that it makes anything crease. So I'm just going to do a little bit of colour correcting under the eyes using one of the Bobbi Brown Intensive Skin Serum Correctors, and I'm going to use the shade Light Peach for Mona, just to counteract any darkness under the eyes. If I turn you a little bit that way, so look out for me, Mona. So I'm just going to do a couple of dots in the lower portion of the eye, and I'm just using a Real Technique setting brush just to pat that in very, very gently. And if there's too much on the brush, you can just take the excess off on the back of your hand. So this isn't about brightening yet, this is just about kind of colour correcting. And you can even use this to counteract redness, it's really good on redness. And I'm just using a slight patting motion, and you can even use the warmth of your finger as well, just to blend that in. And then to just brighten slightly underneath the eyes, I'm going to take the Nars Radiant Creamy Concealer, and I'm going to use the shade Custard. So I'm going to blend it in with the Real Techniques Miracle Blending Sponge as well. Turn you that way a little bit for me, look up for me, Doug. So I really like blending this with something like a beauty sponge. It just really pushes it into the skin nicely, and it just makes it a part of the skin rather than sitting on top. So just one product as well I wanted to tell you guys about. Mona actually has a tiny bit of eczema at the minute underneath her eyes. So if you find that you have any kind of sore spots on your face or any dry skin, I'm actually really loving the Elizabeth Arden, the Skin Protectant Nighttime Miracle Moisturizer. It has kind of like a balmy texture, and it's really, really good on dry areas. So especially if you struggle with your concealer on any dry patches, try using a little bit of this as well and just let it absorb into the skin first. And then just to counteract any darkness on the eyelids or any redness, I'm going to use an eye base in a skin tone. So I'm going to use the Stay Don't Stray in Medium Deep by Benefit, which is a really nice one just to give yourself a nice, clean, fleshy tone. So if I close your eyes for me, just start it on the middle of the eyelid, and then just using something like a fluffy dome brush, I'm just going to take that over the lid, just so that there's no redness coming through or discoloration. And I'm just popping that over the eyelid. And again, like I said, if you had any kind of dryness on your eyes, you could always pop a bit of that balm on first, and then just ever so delicately kind of tissue it off so there's not too much excess grease on the eyelid. So I'm going to use a bit of waterproof gel eyeliner by Barry M, and I'm actually going to use a Zoeva winged liner brush, as I find this is a good way, especially if you have a wobbly hand, just to help start to get your shape, but obviously use whatever shape brush you find most comfortable. So we're going to give Mona a little Harry flick. So I'm just going to get some product on the back of my brush first. So if I turn you that way a little bit, Mona, and what I'm going to do first, if I get you to look straight ahead, I'm just going to follow up from Mona's bottom lash line. And it's really good with these kind of brushes, you can almost use them like a stencil and just print where you want to pull the eye outwards. And I'm not going to flick it up too high on Mona's eye shape because she's got a more almond shape. I want to really elongate the eyes and pull them outwards. So you see we've got a little flick. Again, it doesn't have to be perfect. You want to keep as well like your Muji cotton buds to hand, so something really super thin. They're really good for making corrections as well. So if you close for me, Mona. So then I'm actually going to go from the inside. Now again, with almond eye shapes, you've got kind of two choices. You can either start halfway, but Mona, you were saying you like to wear yours all the way across, don't you? So if you close for me, don't be afraid to go all the way across. The trick is just to keep the line very, very fine on the inner corner. And I'm going to build with a thin line first, and then I can thicken it up once I like the shape. So using like a Muji cotton bud, you can even use this to cheat, just to start to pull your wing outwards if you want to change the direction slightly, and then look down. So again, I'm just going to thicken where I want to make it a little bit thicker. And then I'm just increasing the pigment, kind of where I want it, that little bit blacker and a bit stronger. So I'm just thickening, just increasing the depth of the pigment. And if you just lift your eye slightly as well, gives you a good kind of scope to see where you need to make sure that you get the pigment right into the lash line so there's no skin showing. And then looking straight ahead at me, then I can just make sure I've got the flick angle exactly where I want it. So I'm just going to sharpen it slightly. Cool. And then we'll do the other side and come back to you. So now the liner's on, I'm going to go and use some cream bases for the bronzer. A product that you guys will have heard me mention in my February favourites, I think, was the YSL, I think it's pronounced Le Sahariennes, but it's the kind of soft focus blur bronzer, and it's so lovely. It's very hard texture to describe because it almost applies like a cream but then sets in between a powder and a balm, but it's very, very lovely. So I'm going to use this on the skin next. So I'm going to take a MAC 168, and I do like to use this with a brush. It works great with synthetic brushes as well, and I just start to buff a bit off on my hand first. And I'm going to use this, I'm not going to kind of contour massively with it, it's going to be more sort of applied like you would naturally bronze. So I'm going to start kind of on the high points of the face, where you would naturally catch the sun. And take it into the temples and around the hairline. I'm going to take a little bit over kind of the bridge of the nose. And then I'm going to kind of keep with the glowy feel, and I actually want to take something like the Benefit What's Up, which is really nice, and we're just going to use that to kind of give a little bit more sheen, especially to the high points. And this has a nice kind of goldy tone, so, and it's cream based as well. So I'm going to take a Japanese brush, and I'm just going to take that down the centre of the nose, onto the Cupid's bow. And this is a great trick as well if you want to make your lips look a little bit larger. And I'm going to use this as well on top of the cheekbones. So I'm going to go back to the lashes and brows now. You know me, guys, I don't really believe in rules. I kind of do things in the order that I feel like doing. And I was saying to Mona earlier, because her brows are already quite a definite shape, it's easy for me to see the kind of structure of her face naturally. So I'm going to go in, and if you look right down for me, Mona, I'm just going to curl your lashes. And then I'm going to apply the Showgirl Extra Volume Black Mascara by Barry M, which is a really nice one for just giving a little bit extra volume and lift. So if you look down for me, and I'm just going to do one coat, because I think when you've got kind of a full-on flick, you don't need to worry so much about lots of mascara. So for Mona's brows, I'm just going to use a little bit of Anastasia Beverly Hills brow powder, and I'm going to use a little bit of ash brown. So I'm just going to use, which is quite cool, it's not too much of a warm tone. So I'm just going to add little brush strokes, and in between just grooming through with kind of a spoolie just to see the shape. So I'm taking it ever so slightly up here and then pulling it downwards to match the other side. So for lips, I'm going to apply more of a kind of balmy colour with a tint. This is the YSL Volupte Sheer Candy. So this is really nice, especially if you've kind of got a bronzy glow going on. To stop everything looking too flat, just add something with a very sheer tint of colour. So, and it's very balmy, this one, so it's very comfortable. But especially with a tan, don't be afraid to kind of add some pink into your look. And it's nice because it's really comfortable to wear. It's like having a balm on. And then just open a little bit for me. So I'm just going to dab it on in the centre where I want more pigment. So I'm going to take a bit of this Body Shop, it's like a cream blush, it's called Fresh Sorbet Blush, and it's in the shade Lychee Blossom. So it's kind of like a gel cream, but they're really nice to work with because they give a very fresh appearance. So just using the same brush that had my bronzer on, so it kind of all blends in really harmoniously. I'm just going to take that into the centre, just to give it a slight colour pop. Turn that away from me, down. So it's very subtle, and it's not going to kind of change the glow of the skin, it's going to work with it. But especially for kind of springtime, this is a really, really nice fresh look. And last but not least, I'm just going to take a little bit of Laura Mercier Secret Brightening Powder, and I'm just going to use a tiny powder brush, just look up for me, Mona, just to set under the eye area, just so that everything is kind of sealed into place, but you still keep that freshness. I'm using a tiny bit around the nose, a little bit on the chin and the forehead, and that's it. I think it's nice to keep the glow everywhere else. Definitely gives you that kind of nice fresh spring vibe. And so that's the finished look, guys. I really hope you enjoyed that. Really nice, simple, fresh, spring-friendly look. Make sure you check out harrymakesitup.com for my free resources, which I'll put a link to below, so you can get your free downloadables and printables to help you become the master of your own makeup. Make sure you subscribe and like, and I'll see you soon for more videos. Thanks very much, guys. Bye!